Hey, welcome back, my bears, to another training vlog here at One Life Fitness in Gainesville. And so at the start of this video, one of the members struck up a conversation with me, and I was just finishing up talking to him. But in this set here, I want to show you this set in particular because you'll notice that I don't reset at the top after the first rep, right here. I go down way too fast, and so I miss groove. And now it's really important, you guys, super duper important to reset, especially when you're training for strength. You don't want to set yourself into a bad position and end up injuring yourself, basically. I did record other sets as well, but I really just wanted to show you that set in particular just to make a point. And so next up here, we got some incline bench press. I am using 185 pounds and basically just trying to hit 8 reps as best I can. It moved decently well for the first 6 reps, I believe. 5 and 6, yeah. And then right about here is where I start getting gassed. And so I take my time, take big breaths, brace as hard as I can, and finish out the rep. And it looked pretty easy, if I do say so myself. Next up here, we got some pec flies on the pec deck. And with the pec deck, I would rather use the one next to it, the one to the left, but the lady was using it, and so I just sort of decided to use the one on the right anyway. And with this, you're supposed to have your arms bent at a 90-degree angle to do these, but that feels really uncomfortable on my rotator cuff, on my shoulder. It really aggravates my AC, so I am just sort of holding the pads in my wrists. If you have one of these pec fly machines at your gym and don't like using it, this is a variation you can use to sort of make it more like a standard pec deck. But with this, hitting a higher rep range just for that accessory and volume for really just building up the pecs. And I always like to finish out my pecs with some fly movements because you really just, with chest training in general, you do want to get presses and flies in your training. So next up here, we got some dips, some dips here. And for the dips, normally people would think of this as a tricep exercise, but really if you angle yourself the way that I am angling myself, you can sort of get a lot of lower pec activation here. I was going to do them weighted, but my chest was so gassed at this point that even doing sets at body weight was pretty difficult, so I just decided to keep it at body weight. I always love doing dips, but sometimes they can be a little bit painful. And if you're experiencing pain on the dips, I do recommend you just sort of stay away from them. If it's a muscular issue or a form issue, then I always recommend doing some assisted dips, but in any case, this is the start of the pulls. And with this, I am using single handles. This is a dual pulley lat pull down. I'm utilizing a narrow grip, a neutral grip as well, just because I kind of don't want to always train pronated or always train supinated, but these felt pretty darn good today. All right, next up, we got some plate loaded rows, and these are technically a low row, but the way that I'm seated on here, it's sort of like just a normal row. The angles are pretty much just a normal row. With this, I am gripping pronated. I could have gripped neutral, but it's actually a little bit too tight for me, so I decided to just grip neutral and not row unilaterally just to make the exercise a little bit harder. I opted for that instead of making the weights heavier, just because I was about to do some heavy loading here on this exercise. This is a T-bar row, and with this T-bar row, it's actually a little bit interesting. I do like these a lot, the ones that have a raised platform. They do feel really good. I do have a plate there just because when it's all the way at the bottom where it's supposed to be, it's actually a little bit difficult to get it up. I lose my balance a lot, so I do like to have a plate there to sort of make it a little bit higher. But yeah, with this is my heavy row for the day. And I always do like to train at least one exercise of the day to be heavy and focus on moving as much weight as possible. while for the most part I do just like focusing on the movement itself. Now the high row, this is the last exercise. The high row was taken, the machine high row, so this is an alternative you guys can use if you have a cable cross at your gym and don't have a high row. You can just set them up a little bit high, bend at the knees just to get a better range of motion pretty much, and pull down at an angle rather than pulling straight up vertically.